Hey, what is up guys? So I'm here to show off the new Gladiator Beast, and Glads is a kind of a shutdown oriented deck. At its core, that's what it was, and especially back in the day when we had multiple Solemns, this deck was just a beast. Wow, the puns, man. Anyways, this deck just absolutely destroyed people, and it's basically a shutdown deck, where it makes it so your opponent could not play. Now, without Solemn, well, we have new Solemn cards anyways. But with the new fusions, you can do some really dirty stuff, as you guys will see through these plays. You can actually make the Herc multiple times. Well, I guess you use one of the cards so you can kind of like evolve the Glad Beast. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do anything. Like the Heraclinos Chariot was basically like an old school like I've won. Like if you throw a Heraclinos, and it's like a first turn play over there. You can do that first turn. Quite often with the Hero Lives build. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about Gladiator Beast because I want to talk about this deck, because I don't even think this deck will be alive with the support that is coming out. It's just not enough. But you guys will see over here, it's a really, really easy deck to absolutely destroy your opponent if your opponent has like nothing. And I mean like your opponent has no answers to it. You can obliterate your opponent relatively quick, but I feel like you can do that with most meta decks these days anyways. And the newer Gladiator Beast stuff, all it does is get out the older Gladiator Beast stuff. And the older stuff, while it is pretty good, I'm not sure if it has the potential to be a super strong deck. You guys will see over here, bring out Geyseris, then I go ahead and bring out this guy, then this guy brings out the Heraclinos. So there's like stepping stones to this deck. But this deck is super, super, super vulnerable to so many things in the game. You guys will see over here with Heraclinos, I actually have to discard cards for him to be viable to stop spell and traps. So I actually had to keep a card in my hand. And the reason why is because I couldn't take a Dark Hole. Dark Hole Regeki are still really popular cards in the game, and a lot of decks do run it. But I also wanted to talk about how like this deck just gets absolutely eaten alive. There was a pretty decent game that we had on the live stream doing Glad Beast Spear match over here. But anyways, D-Barrier. There's an interesting rule. I didn't actually know about this. You guys were saying that it did not work, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it works. Anyway, so I contact Fusion of Geyseris. I decide to pop 2 cards. He activates D-Barrier, so he's negating fusion effects. Now, since I'm tagging back into the deck, that does not stop my Glad Beast effect, because I attack with Geyseris, and I'm going to tag out. You guys can see it works. Maybe it's a glitch. I don't know. All I know is that, like, D-Barrier... Hold on, I gotta read D-Barrier real quick. It says that negate the effects of all monsters that are on the field, and since tagging back into the deck, I guess it works. So even though I got that negated, I'm still able to get out on Augustus, because it's nice to have in the graveyard. And I made a Tornado Dragon newer card. Regeki is just what like ruins Gladiator Beast, because they have so many cards that require Gladiator Beast to be on board, or you can equip them to a Gladiator Beast or something along the lines of that. But anyways, I'm playing the Hero Lives build. There's a lot of different builds, but I also want to just kind of like talk about this deck in general. Because a lot of Glad Beast players have War Chariot, I decided not to go for like Geyseris. That would have been an okay play, because I would have gotten rid of that. Well, he would have changed it anyways, but nonetheless, it would have dealt with that. And anyways, we have the Utopia Lightning. I attack with that, and I'm like, okay, hopefully he's got War Chariots. Unfortunately, he had Quaking Mirror Force. But you guys will see a card that just absolutely can shut down the deck, and I didn't even think about it being like such a hard counter to Gladiator Beast. But anyways, he's going to go ahead and go for Darius to bring out Augustus, because you're going to need this card later on to go for the stronger fusions. So I have the War Chariot. Unfortunately, I can't use it because yeah, you have to have a Gladiator Beast. Anyways, Horn of the Phantom Beast. I didn't even expect that. I was like, what the heck, man? And he draws into Ghost Ash, which actually shuts down this deck completely. And I was just like, wow, get sacked over there. But top deck into the Test Tiger. And again, this deck has a lot of consistency issues. There's a few cards that we'll talk about, but Ghost Ash just destroys this deck. And if you guys haven't been seeing what is winning in the OCG, it's just triple Ghost Ash and everything. The card is good. I mean, it's, you know, it's $100 now. Anyways, I wanted to open up this video to be a discussion video about Gladiator Beast. Now, there are a lot of Gladiator Beasts in the game, but I feel like so many of them are just not viable this day and age. Back in the day, people played Laquari just because, you know, when he would tag out, if you didn't know what to tag out into, it was always Laquari, just because he has good stats. But this day and age, like a 21 beater is not even good in the game. And on top of that, there's another card, Secutor. Like, this will just never go off. And especially since if you Valor the Gladiator Beast, how it was ruled, I don't know if they've changed it. You guys know they errata things all the time. But if you effect Valor a Gladiator Beast, it forgets that it was tagged out by a Gladiator Beast, therefore it does not get the effect. So that can be pretty big. Obviously, you could just negate the Glad anyways, but The other card that I used to see some play was Murmillo, but like destroying like one card, it's just, I don't think it's just viable back in the day. And again, there's so many conjunctional cards that we play in Gladiator Beast. Like Test Tiger requires a Gladiator Beast in order for it to be even used. And then War Chariot, pretty much the same thing. Now, War Chariot is a pretty good card, but again, sometimes you just lose too easy, especially with this card being super, super meta. Plus, in the future, with the Max C plays, I know it's only at 1 in the TCG, so in the OCG, it's just going to kind of shut down the deck, especially since all the new stuff, it's a stepping stone to special summon like 3 or 4 times, especially since you're going to have to special summon before you even bring out this card in the first place. You just give your opponent so much advantage to the point where, like, oh, the Heraclinos being able to discard, you're just going to run out of cards, or they're just going to have an out to it. And the problem is you invest a lot into like a Heraclinos before. Like, it was a Laquari plus 2 Gladiator Beast monsters, but now you can just bring it out with these, so you don't really need to play Laquari in the first place. Gladiator Beast was a deck that really utilized advantage, but I feel like advantage means like nothing in this day and age. Like, you can like top deck like 1 or 2 cards, and your opponent can have full board. It doesn't matter. I mean, Exciton Knight, I know it's banned, but at the same time, Gladiator Beast was a deck that was all about control, and I feel like it's very hard to play control against the meta these days, especially with every deck being so fast. And then we have Link Summon coming out in the game. Like, people are going to be forced to run what? Speedroid and Gladiator Beast? Because think about it, guys. All these fusions do is bring out more of the fusions, which you're going to have to need an extra zone for. And therefore, at that point, you can't even play this new deck. I think the Gladiator Beast, like, one of these guys needs to just be able to get like a free guy from like a Link card that just, a Link Gladiator Beast, Link Test Tiger, something with like no stats that just gives you free zones, because otherwise, you can't, again, you can't play the new stuff. And I feel like that's why a Link Summon's getting a lot of hate, because all of these other things just don't work, because it just breaks like some of the mechanics of the game, because you don't have the extra deck zones. And again, that's all this deck wants to do. But anyways, going on to like the obscure Gladiator Beast. Oh, this one technically is not a Gladiator Beast, but before people used to play Sam Knight, there's a lot of other Gladiator Beasts. Like, you used to be able to, back in the day, guys, set first turn Hoplambas pass. That actually worked. This day and age, well, hold on. You have to control a face-up Gladiator Beast. Oh, Test Tiger, kind of the same way. Like, there's just so many problems that Gladiator Beasts have this day and age. But I'll talk about some other things that we were talking about in the live stream, and I kind of should have just recorded that part of the section, but I can make the video much better if we go in depth, because there's a lot of other cards that we started talking about. But people were talking about like a vanilla build using the Gladiator Beast Andal and Unexpected Die. You get a free Gladiator Beast out on the board, but it doesn't work well with the where's it, Hero Lives, because I think Hero Lives is the most enjoyable one, because you're playing heroes, you can make it really fast. You do have to pay a lot of life points, so that's where like Solemn Strike kind of become a problem. Some people are playing Quaking Mirror Force because you need to be able to attack into things, and on top of that, like, the monster's going to stay face down anyways. But the problem that I have with these like really aggressive plays is they're very conjunctional, and if you lose your one summon, right? So you go for like Unexpected Die, you summon a Gladiator Beast, you summon a Prisma, Reveal, count as something else. You're using like 1, 2 cards, and then you have other cards in your hand that could be completely dead, and then your opponent just goes, oh, you summon a whatever fusion? Okay, Solemn Strike, or I affect Baylor this. And then at this point, this is a 24 beta that does absolutely nothing. And that's kind of more, I know it has 3,000 defense, but let's say you're trying to do some damage or something, and this guy, he's even worse. He only has 1,000 attack. But like, let's say you go for any of these stepping stones to build out the other stuff. Any of the hand traps just completely shut it down. All the warnings shut it down. And it's not necessarily just that, like, oh, warning beats this deck, because Gladiator Beast is a very controlled-based deck. But it comes down to making it very difficult to use your other cards, because again, you're going to have dead cards, especially when you're playing Triple Hero Lives and Triple Prisma, which I think it might not be the best solution, but it's still just not too strong, and I think that's the problem with Gladiator Beast. We were even talking about using Ties of the Brethren for some targets. There is actually some targets. Oh gosh, what was? Oh, there's also another card, Fire Kings. Onslaught of the Fire Kings was another thing that we talked about in the live stream. But the problem is that it's investing too many cards for potential like shutdown, and then you have like very little follow-up play, and I think that's the main problem with Glad Beast. If you play the Hero Lives, though, obviously you can try to make some more plays after, but for the most part, you don't have very good follow-up plays with this deck. Like other decks, they special summon, and then the normal summon can be a really good, powerful play. But I feel like that doesn't exist with Gladiator Beast, and that is the main problem with it. But I kind of wanted to talk about some of the newer stuff, too. Augustus can actually proc off of Augustus to proc off of Augustus, so you can like spam the board relatively easy with the newer cards. And this guy is a newer card. I'm moving there will be more support for it, the deck, especially some more support for Link Summons, because again, that's another problem that this deck will have when Link Summon comes out, and Ash Blossom just eats the deck up alive. You go for a card and then you try to tag out, it's just like, nope, Ash Blossom, you lose. Again, you have the dead Test Tigers, you have the dead War Chariots, and your board's usually going to be Blink, because there's not Gladiator Beasts are just like, oh, if you control no Glad Beast, special summon this card. This card, you can special summon it, though. If your opponent declares it a direct attack, you can special summon it. It only has 1,000 defense, but if this card is special summoned, Glad Beast, you can just send one to the graveyard. It would be better if it was like send one, add one. Like, you need a big advantage in the game. Otherwise, people aren't going to be playing it. And I know that a lot of people are excited about Gladiator Beast, myself included, because I feel like this was an excellent deck to try to learn the game. But unfortunately, advantage is, again, just kind of meaningless in the game right now. Like, what Glad Beasts are viable? Let me type in Glad Beasts, because I kind of want to open this as a discussion video. What Glad Beasts are like viable this day and age? Like Prisma, I know he's not Glad Beast, but it really helps out to send the bestiary. Darius is definitely still good. Equest though, I feel like you need to be able to control the game so hard that, like, if you've already used your cards, you've probably already won the game, because Yu-Gi-Oh is very fast. I feel like Equest just might be kind of outclassed. He was a staple before it too, for the most Gladiator Beast decks, because you're able just to add back the War Chariot, and once like you had an opponent that was playing a deck, for example like Light Swarm, where you would negate them, there was like little follow-up play unless it was Judgment Dragon, which usually required them to send a bunch of cards to the graveyard. But if they get lucky with Solar Recharge and Minerva Reprint, good luck with trying to play this deck, honestly, in the future, because there's just too many decks that have follow-up plays, which this deck definitely does lack, because the only follow-up play you get is on your opponent's next turn when they try to attack you directly and you go, oh, summon Noxus. So like it can't be destroyed by that one battle. And then like they're just gonna probably run over it. Like I guess you could wait till the last attack, you go into this, and then what you can do, Murmillo, try to pop something, and then they've probably got multiple things on board. Again, that's the main problem with this deck, is that it just doesn't have follow-up plays. But I mean, I think Equest is still an okay card. Bestiary obviously is required. Test Tiger, I think you have to play it. I mean, there was a few builds I've seen of Gladiator Beasts. There are people playing one Test Tiger, because again, if you lost the summon of your monster, you don't have, like, Test Tiger's worthless. That's, again, going back to the same problem I mentioned 59 times in this video, which is that Gladiators are too conjunctional. Twin Twisters, I feel like you have to place a bunch of removal, because, again, if your one Glad gets negated, you have no follow-up plays. I was also thinking about Tenki and Tensu, just to extend your plays to get an additional normal summon, but you get the summon of the Beast Warrior. There's also Wing Beast and Glad Beast. But yeah, it can extend your plays, but at that point you're using another card to try to go for a bigger monster, which, again, if it gets negated, I know you guys are saying, well, okay, if any deck gets negated, you lose, but I just feel like Gladiator Beast, they just lose too hard to it. I know this can help you get an extra 100 attack, but it's pretty mediocre. This was also a popular card a while back. Adam Korn made this card pretty popular, but basically you're able to cycle through your cards a little bit better. Because in Gladiator Beast, you don't really want to open up with too many cards that are monsters, and so it kind of helped deal with that. And these are just Gladiator Beast cards, so you return 2 Gladiator Beast cards from your hand to the deck, and you just draw 3 cards. But I feel like, again, this day and age, like, you have to play a lot of hand traps in most decks, especially if you guys, again, look at what's winning. It's, like, maxed out on a lot of these hand traps, like Ghost Ash. And then you can, again, have some problems with getting successful plays with this, because sometimes you have no, like, monsters, and that becomes a problem. Because you want to run relatively low monsters, but you can run higher monster count if you play Respite, and then you can shuffle them back. But, again, sometimes you just have bad hands. It happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! It was also a really good card early on for Equest to get back, because early on, if your opponent did, get negated by Chariot, like, what cards were you going to get back that were Glads? And so you were able to add back this, which is basically like another draw power of the engine. And then the Ties of the Brethren, which we were talking about, you can actually go for Lanista and, oh gosh, what was it? But anyways, you can go Ties of the Brethren. It works. But the problem with this is you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn after it resolves. So your plays are relatively limited, but you happen to have multiple monsters out on board. I really feel like Darkhold and Regeki really hurt this deck a lot as well, because you would make your one fusion, and then if you bring out Hercules, I guess that at that point you could start negating. but a lot of the plays require multiple cards, and at that point your opponent can do something, you attempt to negate one, and then you know, you just kind of lose out from that. But I think also Kaijus are pretty popular. A lot of people are even main decking Kaijus now just to deal with certain boards. But if they tribute it, you've invested, again, a lot of your cards into making this guy or this guy, whatever combo you go for. I know it's one of them is stabbing stone for the other one. But you finally go and make your Heraclinos, and they stop it. These cards don't do anything. And I think that these cards needed other effects other than bringing out the older ones. They just needed some type of negation, some type of maybe add a Gladiator Beast from your deck to your hand, or a Gladiator Beast card. Hopefully they'll get more support, because I feel like the problem with Heraclinos, and you guys even saw it in that play, and I've seen a lot of other people send me in plays, where the problem with Heraclinos is they go for the Heraclinos, but they don't have enough cards to really utilize his effect because they invest so much into going off with their play. Because, again, Gladiator Beasts, they get wrecked by, like, one card. So even if you go Twin Twisters, get rid of, you know, a card that you don't need, and then you go for your play, and then your opponent is like, okay, I Valor your fusion, you're out. Like, that's just that part of the deck. But other cards, though, I think are okay. Quaking Mirror Force. I thought this card had a lot of potential, though, where it would make it so you get to basically attack over anything. There's also another card, Infected Male, that we didn't actually talk about this card during the live stream, but it just allows 4 lower, so the smaller Gladiator Beast to just guarantee a direct attack. But you send it to the graveyard at the end of the battle phase, but since you're tagging out, it doesn't really matter. You're able to basically attack over, you just attack directly over and over, and then you're able to tag out into whatever key card that you want to go for. But I just feel like the deck it doesn't really have what it takes to become very strong. I've tried a lot of different builds. I think the one that I had the most success with is the Prisma build, which is the ones that you guys saw from the replay. But I want to know if you guys have any other ideas for this deck to make it more viable. Basically, what it comes down to, I guess this card has to be sent to the graveyard, right? So it's it's just discard the card. It doesn't even have to be sent to the graveyard, because I believe these ones have to. Yeah, this one has to go to the graveyard. This one has to go to the graveyard. I guess the hand traps have evolved. They don't even need to go to the graveyard. But I feel like the deck will just lose out to what is like the meta unless they get some better support. And on top of that, with Link Summons, I feel like you're gonna have to be Speedroids to even like go for these cards, because again, with the Link Summon mechanic, you get out one guy and then that's it. You can't special summon another one. But I think the deck has some potential. It's not like a terrible deck, but it can hold up against other obscure decks and random stuff. But if it wants to be competitive, it needs better support. But we tried it out. We tried out a lot of different ones and tried out a lot of different cards. But if you guys have any suggestions that we did not go over in this video, like all these cards, I would love to know, because I want this deck to be good, because I like seeing some classic decks make a comeback with the newer support. But it has to be good, otherwise, you know, people are just gonna move on. I mean, heck, we get Roid support, so who knows? Maybe we are just getting a hint at what is to come for Gladiator Beast. But yeah, I wanted this video to be a discussion, so join in the comment section below. What are other like combos or other things that can make it viable? Because you guys saw I was able to just bust out fusions after fusions. And pretty cool that D-Berry doesn't, I guess it's either glitched or it doesn't work. I don't know. You guys let me know about that, because that's something that I should probably find out if that works like that or if it's just a glitch. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'm signing out.